All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Tammy Sims, and many of you know me as either your trainer or as the Institute Network's community manager. I like to think of it as being your host. And we have a special treat for you this afternoon. And it's really because Laurie Savino posted on the Institute Network, and you all reacted greatly. So I reached out to Laurie and I asked whether she would be willing to share with us about her letter writing campaign. And so that's what we are going to talk about today. But I want to ask Laurie to introduce herself and Laurie, tell us where your market area is, how long you've been in real estate, any comments about the type of business that you do. Get started with that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Tammy. I'm so honored to be talking to everyone today. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I have something called Meniere's disease, so my hearing goes up and down. So I'm going to be reading more of what you're saying than actually hearing it. But I would love this to be interactive. Any kind of questions that you have, I'm happy to answer and share all my information. And at the end, I have a surprise for you guys. I'm going to show you my next project that you see that I'm working on. So I am, most of my career, if I want to go back a little bit, I went through, there's a store called A&S, which was like Macy's or Bloomingdale's, and I went through their executive training program, which is how I really learned how to build a business. And I think that's where my core came from, and knowing how to take that into real estate. And I spent most of it in bridal and luxury bridal. So my whole background has really been in luxury. I've worked for places like Saks and Barney's and Amsala, which is one of the top designers that in bridal. And that's sort of where I got my core. So about 4 years ago, I had a business that I was a sales agent for bridal designers, and I started real estate. My family owns commercial real estate, so it's always been in my blood, and really believing that real estate means security, and it's something that to own real estate means something. So I started this journey I'm going into my 5th year. I started with Douglas Elliman, and I left to go to RE/MAX. I am licensed in both New York and New Jersey. So I do a lot of business of selling people's house in the Brooklyn, Staten Island area, and then moving them to Jersey. And I do that in one swoop transaction. So it makes me very valuable because the 2 different states and lining up the timing, because New Jersey closes much faster than New York does, if anybody's in Jersey. So I'm just gonna kind of look at my notes if you see me looking down, but part of what when I entered into the Institute, I thought this was great. I took the course, and I mean, what a beautiful community this is, and you guys were so great. And I'm actually so happy that you love the work that I did, because I think you need to stand out. That's what's really important. You can't be like everybody else. And don't ever don't let them tell you not to do something, because as everybody loves my beautiful envelopes, I had a realtor actually tell me not to put my logo on it. And I didn't listen. And I'm so happy that I didn't listen, because I think it made it. And I think that's what part of the success of why people are opening this envelope. And then I'm going to get to that. So talking a little about, so that's my area. It's Brooklyn, Staten Island, and I do South Jersey mostly. My price point right now is anywhere between 700 and 1.1, and I'm trying to get that up a bit now, which is why I joined this community to do, 2+ million. So I actually run a mastermind group, and in my mastermind group, I decided to do a little experiment. And I said, let's take, because marketing and farming can be very expensive. So, and I think postcards are good, but you can't just send postcards, because everybody's sending postcards, right? So let's talk about doing something different. And that's really what I wanted to talk about. So I had a listing that went into contract. So there's a great site called Cole Realty, and I'll put this stuff in the chat, that it gives you not only the address, but the phone number and the email address. So you can actually upload that email address into Facebook and actually target that person. I don't know if you've ever scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and you see the ads. I can literally target Tammy if I want to target Tammy, and Tammy's going to see my ad. So it's going to actually buffer on top of that, right? So we have a letter. I actually do postcards too, so I'm not saying that they're bad. But now you're going to see it on the feed. So they're constantly going to see my name. So if you know anything about marketing, somebody has to see your name 7 times before it'll register. So we want to come at them at all different angles, and you want to make sure that your branding and everything is cohesive. And that was really important to me. So just back, that's when I started to do my logo, because my logo was very important. And I also put in the chat, but her name is Emma Tang, which is emmatang.com. I think I need to look it up again. We really collaborated together on my logos, and I'm going to show you that too at the end, because I have more than one. And that key was something that happened like after, and that's why I think I worked with several different graphic artists, and you really need to talk it through and get through the details. And when she made me that key, I can't tell you guys, I was like, oh my God, it just, I knew it was going to be like the key to that, my branding and where we were going to go. And then we'll talk about the watermark on and it was just amazing. So I took these 78 houses, and the first letter I sent them was, I had 15 offers. I put the address of the house. I had 15 offers. I now have 14 other buyers who wants to sell their house. So that was the first letter. And then a little bit about me and my company and my team. I hit them again 6 weeks later. The next one was, the value of your house might have changed based on, and that address was 62 Lewiston. And in that, I put my top 10 reasons with that letter. And I got a call and I got a listing. Now, my whole campaign, and I'm going to with cost and everything, was probably about $500. So it was expensive. But my commission is anywhere between 27 and 31,000. So it's,
So
I mean, your ROI right there.
Definitely worth, definitely
worth it. Now, also, part of that expense was just the membership for Kohl's Realty is about $90. So it's expensive, but they give you 2,000 names. So you can do it for a month. Or what I also did is you can partner maybe with another realtor and you take 1,000 and 1,000 names. Or if you have a team, divide it up. But I really looked at a lot of different sites. You can't, someone said they can't hear. Hold on.
They can't. Everyone else can hear, so it's an issue just with that individual. Yes, you're fine.
Okay, just want to make sure. I made mine louder. I'm trying to look at both. So once Kohl Realty falls off, then that's going to come off. So then I said, okay, now I'm going to hit the luxury market. So in my territory, everybody probably heard of this, Brooklyn Heights and Cobble Hill. So I targeted that area, and I targeted Staten Island. There's a few called Toad Hill, and there's another place called Grimes. So it's beautiful houses, all from $1 million plus. So this campaign was 400 letters, and my envelopes really were just like, if you see her, just beautiful, right? So the key on the envelope, I think, is why people open it, right? Because it has a beautiful envelope, beautiful stamp. And so I kind of change things around and making sure it is. And then the letters. So I actually originally used, let's see. Okay, I'll give it at the end. I'll make sure that I give you everyone exactly all the people that I use.
Yep.
I used Canva, and Canva was actually a beautiful quality letter. They're very fast, and it comes in a really beautiful packaging. They're a little more expensive, but that's how I started when I did my first one. Then I did some research. So I found someone who was 21 cents a copy. So this one is costing me much less than my first run, because especially since I'm sending out 400 letters. Someone also mentioned like what kind of paper I used. I did use a nicer paper. I didn't use a really fine one, but if I do another mailing, I may even try to do something on really bringing the paper up. and figuring out like something that's really more luxurious to the hand, but I definitely use a better paper. So again, do the research in your area. Find a printer that's not expensive, because you want to be able to keep on sending the letters out, right? The one key to success is consistent. You have to be consistent. You have to take your market, and that's why start with 50 homes if that's what is in your budget, but then keep on sending them something once a month to 6 weeks, because that's going to be the success. Okay. And also think about raising the bar. What can you do differently? Don't just send a postcard, right? Can you send a letter? And we talk about also the letter. If you look at the questions in the letter, it's all about the seller. Don't make the letter about you. You want to say a little bit about you, but that letter should resonate with that person and say, do I have the right realtor?
Yeah,
Am I hiring the
Laurie,
right realtor?
I'm going to interrupt you here because one of the things that really spoke to me about your letter is you're inviting them to compare you to anybody else. And so when you say that you're making it about them, that I see your point there, but I also definitely appreciate the fact that you are giving them permission to compare you, because you're giving that confidence that you're going to come out ahead. So
Right.
I love that.
Exactly, because, in fact, I'll tell you another quick story. I don't know if everybody uses Boomtown, but I have a Boomtown site, and that's where I get a lot of my leads. So I actually had somebody register on my site that was actually a seller, and he's unhappy with his realtor, and he owns a beautiful $1.5 million home, and he invited us to see it. So I did do an evaluation for him. I went and I said to him, I'm not here to take the business. This is free to you. I gave it to him as a gift. I walked around his home. I told him what I thought he needed, in that for a house because the realtor actually even did a video with pictures. So I always do a walkthrough video. I think that's very important. I never do a picture video. Then, especially with a property that's $1.5 million, you want to treat it like it's a $1.5 million house. I'm really talking about the marketing and how you're going to get in front of the right buyers. So this is what the letter is, right? And I learned a lot of this too through your training, Tammy, because we have a lot of great resources with the Institute. So when we're talking, we said, do you know how to reach the most influent buyer, right? So I'm not telling him that I know how to do it. I'm saying, does he know how to do it, right? Or she knows how to do it. Because that's when you have to target your letter. You need to speak to them. They need to sort of think about this and go, wow, be thought-provoking and really, want to be able to call you. Next question. Do you know how your home can be exposed to a vast international markets? Well, we all belong to the Institute, so we know how to do that. And the letter sort of goes on. So that's really, and I put actually the membership on it and the strategy and the thing for a detailed marketing strategy. They need to call me, right? Because on this, I gave them enough that I sort of whet their appetite, but they need to talk to me in order to execute this with any realtor, because any realtor can pick this letter up, but they may not know what to do. And I think that's something that's really important in terms of the letter. So from the letter, let's talk about the top 10. I think what came out beautiful here is the watermark. And I think really important for everyone to have their own identity. You have your identity, like I belong to Remax, right? So I have their logos, but you need your own logo, especially in the luxury world. Something needs to stand out of who you are. I loved one of the comments that someone put on it was about having our picture on our card. And I thought that'd be like a good debate to talk about. I think she said, I'm not sure if it's here, but the seller was like, my doctor or my accountant doesn't have a picture on their cards. And I thought that was just interesting, and saying, having a luxurious card, everything that you should do should be a step up. Don't think like, it's okay, I can have a picture video, or it's okay, I can do this. I don't think it is. I think when you want to stand out, then you have to do these things. You have to really look at all your material and start from somewhere. That's why I started with my logo, because I thought it was really important about the logo and about that part of the branding. And then it's like a thread, right? I can bring it through the whole thing and it's cohesive. I'm now working on my signs, my next thing. So if we're looking at the top 10 reasons, like we listen, we know the market, we're experienced. These are really detailed, but they're not over the top, right? They're very bulleted, it's very clean, have my logo, and they're gonna know, why should you wanna work with me instead of working with anybody else? And that's really, I think this was just, I'm telling you, that key was just it. And if you look, it's even a little off center. It's all these little things that you really wanna do. And again, budgets are hard. Like, I'm now going on my 5th year. I couldn't do all of this my year 1 because no one told me. Like, everybody was saying big farming area or do the postcards, and I kind of got overwhelmed. And I didn't have anybody to really sit here and do this. But with my mastermind group, and I have to tell you, I don't know if anybody's read Think and Grow Rich. Read that book. It is one of the best. You want to grow your business. There's a couple of ones. Think and Grow Rich is great. And I'm reading another one by Jeff Olson called The Slight Edge. And he talks about slight movements. It's the little things that kind of get you to the next level. So it doesn't have to be big. So start with 50 homes, do the best marketing that you can do, get the best materials, and then send that out. And keep on The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, yes. It was really, really great book. So that's a little bit about the letter. You guys want to ask me questions now? Do you want to keep on going? Tell me.
So
Let's talk about the results.
So I know that that they definitely are going to want the resources in the chat, and in a few minutes when I go live to do the demo on how to access the resources in the network, that'll be a good opportunity for you to put those in the chat.
So,
but
one thing, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think the questions. How did you decide? Which ones you were going to focus on? Right? Like, how did you decide who you wanted to send a letter to when you filtered it down to the luxury?
So a couple of the analysis I did. So I don't know if anybody has RPR.
I think they do. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You go into RPR, you can also get labels from them for free. I think you have 2,000 labels. So you won't have phone numbers, but you can actually target people who have been living in the house from 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15, 15 plus. So pick an address, go into RPR, okay? And then do an area. And from there, you can have a really beautiful list. So for me, I knew the areas I wanted to be in. So I knew I wanted to be in downtown Brooklyn. I knew the homes, the beautiful brownstones, and they're over $2 or $3 million. So I picked that area. Because if you want to be in the luxury business, that's where you should be farming, right? Don't farm an area that's not where you want to be.
Right.
Think about it. Think about where you want to be. Think about really who you want to be, sort of manifest the life that you want to be. I think that's really, really important. If you want to be a luxury agent, then you go after that area. So that's how I chose there. Then I picked another area in Staten Island because I didn't want to focus just on one area, which I think is important too, right? Because in the beginning of a farming, you don't know what's going to work. I got instant results, which is great. We're going to see now with the 400 what's going to happen because I'm literally just finished. I think I'm on my last 100 that I have to send out. And then I did another area in Staten Island. You question, Tammy?
Yeah, there's a question in the chat, and we'll okay. I'm going to pull some of them from the thread that we know already were out there, but okay. This one is a new one. Question on your envelopes, and I know that you are going to share the source that you did for the envelopes. Those were custom done, but any thoughts about the folded letters versus maybe a full sheet large envelope?
Right.
Did you consider either, and what made you decide?
I did not consider that at the time. Now that I see a couple different things talking about it, it could, and that's when I can do a much nicer paper, I think, and then have a much better. But yes, I think that would stand out and be beautiful. So if you did it not folded, much better in something like that, and did it in, because someone just sent me something, I think, something that's like this, and the navy.
You mean like this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's actually I actually think it is your stuff. It is.
it
See?
is.
I liked it, so I kept it. Yep. I didn't realize it. So I said, oh, I like this. So yes, and then also my logo on something like this, I think would be beautiful because it would be nice and big. And I guess, so I would definitely, if you can do this, step it up. I would definitely do it.
All right. And then the question,
Envelope.
yeah, the question about addressing, right? So I know in the thread, you had mentioned that you use labels, but you weren't crazy about that. And you were thinking about ordering a white ink pen. So have you gotten that yet?
No, I just ordered it from Amazon, so I'm waiting for it to come. Again, I do things very differently. I have my whole life. So I really, really want perfection. And a lot of people say don't wait for perfection, but as perfect as you can get. So when I was assembling the envelopes and I would see the white, label, I just didn't like the way it looked because again, it's luxury. So, and then I tried with a silver pen and I didn't like the silver pen. And then I thought, oh, maybe white ink would work. So then that would look beautiful on the envelope.
So
now that's I'm going to try that. Because again, I feel like it just needs to feel beautiful and look beautiful.
That's easier to do with a small campaign, right? 50 letters, as opposed to, we'll see how you feel about the writer's cramp on the 400. And of course, you have to have good handwriting as well. What was coming to my mind, and Troy is asking the question, what about clear labels? Well, clear labels aren't going to be effective on a black envelope, right?
Correct.
But if you created some labels that maybe, especially if it was a larger envelope, if you created some labels that were designed that had a nice gold border around it, and the actual addresses and whatnot were in a gold print. So there is a way that you could dress up labels to match the elegance of the pieces that you have, for sure. Yeah, and absolutely. What's your thought about customizing stamps? This was a question that came up.
That was really interesting. I don't know about sort of the picture because I was like, do I put my picture? But I like the logo, so that's something. Then I didn't know if it was going to be too redundant, like my logo on there on this. So yes, but I thought that was different, and I also have my other logos which I can show you. So I'm even thinking,
yes,
like, put my other logo on there.
I'm curious about that as well. Because I noticed the two logos. Part of a good host's job is to go check out the special guest on their website and their online presence. And so I did notice that you've got a couple of different logos. Let's see.
Hold on, let me.
What other questions?
Adam, I'm downloading that. I don't know what that is.
I think Adam accidentally uploaded his picture. Oh, okay. Okay, or the logo. So there's a question. Linda is asking, where can you get gold printing on your address labels? So if you are savvy, you can actually do them yourself. If you get Avery stock labels and you use one of the formats within Microsoft Word, for example, or any of the other desktop publishing software, and you can draw a border around it, and you can just choose gold lettering or something that's sophisticated. I don't know, maybe red, or Laurie, in this case, you might do the like burnt orange kind of thing that matches. But so you can do that yourself. If you do not have the skill set for that, then you could go out on Fiverr, fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and you could post a request for somebody who can do that. If you send a database, they can format it so that it can be printed out for you, or a graphic designer locally, a print shop. You can find resources, but I think that's the key in avoiding 400 handwritten addresses.
You know what? I think of two things. One, exactly on the same line that you were talking about, is actually having a beautifully calligraphy, font to be able to run the program through and then put the labels that way. So if I can find the right label, I don't know if I can do obviously the clear. I'd have to figure out color for the dark envelope, but that's something to look into and definitely something that I want to do. And I have to tell you guys, Fiverr is a great resource. I've used it a lot for special projects. So definitely, and again, whatever budget you can figure out a way, you can go on there and have someone make you a good logo, but not the logos that everybody's using. Because if you see a lot of people have the same house, like I can look at that, I know immediately they got it on Fiverr, right? I paid
Or
a lot of
Canva.
logos, so it was a little different, but definitely start somewhere. And I think Fiverr is a great place to start. Yeah.
And Linda's also making a point that the wedding industry has calligraphers. I'll share a little known fact.
Yes, yes.
A little known fact about me is that I was an art
That's
major
true.
in college, and my my specialization, black and white photography, surprise, and calligraphy. So I earned my grocery money for many years in my 20s and into my 30s doing
Well, I know a lot of people.
calligraphy. So that it's out there. There's still people that that do
Yeah,
that.
it's a great idea.
That'd be a nice
I
touch.
think it's so funny because in the bridal industry, I used to use them all the time, and they can do the white ink. And sometimes you can find someone, I think it's 75 cents sometimes. Someone was asking me if I still do postcards. Yeah. So every time, everybody, so when I list a house, they always get a just listed postcard. I always do a just sold postcard, and that will confirm me. I also send out recipe cards because I think that's really good. Recipe postcards. You want to send them things that are different. And information is the most important thing you can give to someone. So we're talking about marketing information. Know your area. And again, if it's just one area, that's okay, but know the numbers in that area. And send out a postcard that talks about what has sold that month. If you send that out every month, like, here's your July market. This is what happened in August, you know?
Yeah.
That's really going to help you become an expert.
Laurie, there's a couple of questions that just came up in the chat.
Okay.
And so the one question from Brooke is how many letters? And we know that your first one was 78 homes. Is that correct?
78. Yeah.
And there were 2 different letters, 6 weeks apart.
Correct.
Right. And then there's a question, do you use the same color envelope for each mailing?
Yes.
And I would echo that. I wanted to let you answer it first, but it's also, that's the consistency, right? When we talk about brand recognition, you know, so the first one, they were impressed and they opened the envelope and they found good information. And then the next time that they see one, they're like, oh, look at that. It's another letter from Laurie. So that consistency, both in delivery and in the look and feel, I think is really important.
Yeah, very
all right.
important.
And there's a question of whether you follow up with a phone call or a personal visit. And my guess on that is that because this is a farming campaign, you don't yet have a relationship that would allow you to do that until they call you and say, hey, I was impressed.
Thank you. So in the group of the 78 houses, I actually went, I actually went door knocking with ICEs though. So I also have a Tom Ferry coat, so I belong to Tom Ferry, and someone did this great postcard with all the houses that had sold in the area with ICEs. So I wrapped them up really beautifully, and you know, my team and I, we knocked on doors and we handed out the ICEs, and I was able to go back with 6 CMAs to different houses. I met some great people. It's something that, you know, it's funny, I've been against sort of door knocking or something I really didn't kind of want to do, but it wasn't bad. I mean, I think if you go with the right people and you don't by yourself and you make it fun, then it can be something that's really good. And we actually had some, and it's all about a conversation. We had some really good conversations. I think something may come out of at least 2 of them. We're in talks, so you never know.
Yeah.
But really, and again, and I'm start small, perfect it, and then you can make it bigger. And I think don't start with 400 because I think that's really hard to do. Start with 50, 70, and I think that's perfect.
Sure. Now I need to ask you to clarify. You said you went door to door with ICEs. Was I hearing that correctly?
Oh yeah. You know those long, so like an ice, like a fruit ice. Those in like a long.
like a frozen popsicle stick?
Yeah, like
Okay.
a popsicle. There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, that would be something welcome.
The long time, you know, like as you when you were a kid, they had the ones you used to put in the
Yes.
freezer. So I did, I don't have pictures of them. I actually have some pictures I'll upload. I wrapped them, we put like a Remax sticker, we put our card in it, and with the card, and then the next time I went out, I actually did a letter with it because we did Popeyes. Yes, we did a
Yes.
Popeye.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, Popeyes are great. So let me explain the Popeye versus us just doing those ices. For those people we didn't know, a Popeye is something that I do about 4 times a year of clients of mine. So they're clients that I've closed and clients that I'm presently working with, and maybe some clients I want to get. So I always do the pies in November. Does anybody do the pies during November?
I know there's lots of folks that do that successfully.
I do pie, yeah. Pies, they went over amazing. And I have to tell you again, because I do things differently, I wrap them in this beautiful sort of mesh fabric with a bow, and it was just so pretty on everybody's doorstep. I didn't actually ring everybody's doorbell. I just left it on their step. So what I do is you send them out an email asking them what kind of pie they like, because they have a choice of 4. Then I order the pies and then I hand deliver them. So I do that every November, and that goes over really well. St. Patrick's Day, I do it. And then I did the ices for the summer.
Laurie, I wanna go back to the pies, right? Because I know that the pie idea is definitely very successful across the board. But typically it's been associated with, you know, like an ordinary price point. And what you just described was taking something that's effective for everybody and classing it up, right? So the idea that you are doing the wrap with a bow, that's very different than getting a Costco box pie. And so that's the kind of thing I think that you are good at doing, is figuring out how can I take these things that work and make them a step above. And that's awesome.
I mean, I won't do a Costco pie. So I went to there's a place called Delicious Orchards that's in New Jersey, and I got a better pie. And again, they would think they were like $15 a pie or something like this, but you don't have to do a lot.
Yeah.
You do whatever you can afford to do.
Yeah, and do it.
Do it different. You can also do the mini pies, which are even less if you want.
Sure. Yeah. So
something different.
You're talking about getting creative within whatever budget constraints you have, and within the size of your A list, if you will. Now, I want to ask you, Laurie, have you gotten any publicity when you are picking up those pies from that local gourmet bakery?
You know, they're pretty big, and I did not actually get anything from them, but that's also something. Also, another thing, I don't know if any of you probably work with a mortgage broker. Get money from your mortgage broker. My mortgage broker, does anybody use Reminder Media?
I've heard of it, so I'm sure that, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking about, Laurie, is when you are there.
Reminder Media is a really great magazine that people actually think I publish it, but it's like crazy. But my mortgage broker goes on the back and he pays a proportion of it, right? So my postcards, he pays for half because he goes on the back of my postcard. So get a really good mortgage broker that you're going to use and that's going to help you pay what's expensive, because that is going to help you as well. But my magazine is great. I send out about 55 now. And it's growing because, again, I think it's $4 a magazine.
Yeah.
So it's not cheap. I add people as I go, but the magazine is great. No downside. There is no downside with it.
There's
great.
A couple of questions in the chat. One of them is about whether you send pies to clients you closed 2 or 3 years ago, or just the past year. Or do you have a list that is the most recent, or the the best potential referral repeat customers that's going to live forever?
So right now I'm sending to everybody that I've closed with. Again, as I'm only going on my 5th year, so I don't know if I'm going to do my 10th year. But I also, with all my closings, I send little things every like couple of months. There's somebody on Etsy. Does anybody know? I think it's Market Envy. They make these really, right? Hold on, let me just grab it so I can show you. She makes really beautiful cards, and this one, it's called Market Dwellings. Market Dwellings. So this is like you put your $5 gift card for coffee, and then you put your cards. You can, when someone gives you a referral. This one was for ice cream, right? So I gave that out to my clients so they can go get ice cream for the summer. And the one with that comes in different colors, comes in white. So Market Dwellings really great on Etsy. I love her stuff. She's really, really good. So they'll get things from me all year from the first year, and then they'll get pie, just like the pie for the second year and third and going forward.
I see. So another question, how do you find the time to get them all dropped off? And so I think that also comes back to the idea that this is 5 years worth as opposed to 15 or 20 years worth. But I would, do you drop them all off yourself?
I did the first year. I won't do that again. It was hard. It was definitely hard. So I have an assistant now. I don't know where everybody is in their business, but I think that it's really important to have an assistant, even if it's part-time, someone to really help you to do the things that are not productive. It is not productive in making you money. You should not be doing it. And that's something that's really important. Start delegating things out. Like, like my letters, I didn't fold them. Somebody else stuffed them for me.
Excellent.
So I think that's something that's really important to do. And then this year will be the same thing. You need help in order to do it.
Sure.
Hard.
Yeah. So I guess the answer to that is don't try to do everything yourself. And as you said, Laurie, think about what is dollar productive. And so that is the same principle as figuring out what's the highest and best use of your time versus the cost of getting someone else to do some of those things. So what I want to do right now is Laurie's been kind enough to share the marketing letter with the 5 questions and the top 10 reasons in the resources of the Institute network. But I get a lot of questions from folks that can't seem to find it. So what I want to do is actually a little live demo of how they can find the resources. And so I'm going to stop the share for right now. And I'm going to do a new share in just a second. But in the meantime, Laurie, maybe you can type in the chat the resource for your envelopes, the logo, and the magazine. I saw a question about that. So right now, what I want to do, give me a thumbs up if you can see the Institute network on my screen. Okay, good. I hope that you are all very familiar. We're really excited that we've broken 3,100 members in the Institute network. So that is amazing. So I know that a lot of you are using the mobile app, which functions a little bit differently, but I'm going to show you on the desktop version and then follow the principles and you'll find it on the mobile app. So you see, I'm the member of a number of different subgroups, and I'm hoping that all of you are finding the various subgroups that are the conversations that you want to participate in. Obviously, everyone on this call is a member of the Marketing Ideas subgroup. So in this section, so we've got the the cover image, and then just below it are the various tabs. So the feed is what you land on, and that's our discussions. You can click on members, and you can see the contact information for anybody who's a member of the marketing group. You can use the magnifying glass as a search function to search for an individual's name or for a geographic location or any number of other things. The events, hey, that's where we are right now. So there's an events tab that will show anything coming up. And then this is what you've all been looking for. This is the resources. And you're going to see a little more on my screen because I'm the admin than you would see on your own screen. I don't believe that you will see these two boxes there, but if you'll probably see this first. And this is the folders of different things that are in the resources section specific to the marketing group. And you see this, this folder here is called Laurie's Letters. So I put that there all together, and you can see then within you can click on the title, and it'll blow it up and it'll allow you to download it. So she's given a copy of her marketing letter. And then the top 10, she included not only the one with her branding, but she also was kind enough to include one that is not branded. So you have the ability to use that as it sits, or of course, to recreate it in your branding if you wish. And then when this session is done, when the recording is complete, I'm going to upload the link to the recording of this session into this resources tab. So you'll see a post that announces it, and then you will see how to get there, right? So that will be a different thing. Okay. And so Heidi says, what do we do if it's not showing for us? Heidi, can you put in the chat, what is it that's not showing for you? The Laurie folder. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to resources. And this is in the marketing ideas subgroup, right? And it's worth doing this twice because sometimes it takes twice. And then you scroll down and there's different folders, and you all can upload files if you want to share them, best practices. There's brochures and flyer examples. There's market report examples that are already posted in here. And then here's where you see Laurie's letters, right? So make sure you're in the marketing ideas subgroup and click on the resources tab at the top. Okay. All right. So, so I'm going to stop the share. And Laurie, you said that you wanted to share something exciting with them. And I want to see if I can give you back the host permission without killing the recording. So this is going to be a good try. Let's see.
Just give me permission to share the screen.
Yep. It's not giving me that. So we're going to see.
Let me see if it'll work. Hold on. Well, I think I can. 1 second.
Yep. I gave you the host capability, and it is still recording. So that's great.
All right. 1 second. Can everybody see my screen? Yeah. Okay.
Thumbs up.
The closed captioning is gone, so bear with me. But I'm going to talk, and then I'll be able to see it when it comes back on. Hold on. Let me see if I can actually get it to come back on. 1 second. Live. Okay, that's okay. So I don't know if everybody loves Ryan Seahern, but I do. I think he's wonderful. And I love watching the shows, and it gives me a lot of ideas. And so I took his course, and what I wanted to share with you is he does this really great box with a catalog that he sends to all his clients. So I am actually recreating the box for me and the book. So I wanted to show you this, and then I'll show you actually what I'm working on.
Part 2. the wow
Can you hear
moment,
it?
and 5 other Sirhan secrets that will arm you for success. Up first is Sirhan secret number 1, which is the box. Anytime myself or anyone on my team meets somebody who's shown interest, either to be a seller or to be a buyer, we send them the box. And the box is exactly what it sounds like. It is a box that looks like so. And this is actually it. It says the Sirhan team down here. It's a little black box that is shaped like a book, because inside, that's exactly what's in there. There's a book that is my listing pitch book. And the listing pitch book is a nice glossy book that says "We Know Real Property," because I think that sounds cool. It says Sirhan Team all over it. And inside is everything I want them to know. It's my bio, it's my team's bio, it's listings that we have, it's listings that we've sold, it's people we work with, it's testimonials, it's where we advertise, it's where we market, it's things that we do better than everybody else, it's our rankings, it's press, it's literally everything that I would want to put into a listing proposal, but I made it into a nice glossy book. And this book is literally my first impression. So whether it's a buyer or a seller, the day before I meet them, they get this nice, pretty book and box at their front door or with the doorman, because we're in New York City, and they see that and they say, wow, a real estate broker sent me a present. That is so crazy. I wonder what they sent me. I wonder if it's chocolate. And then they open it and they're super disappointed. It's not chocolate. It's not jewelry. It happens to be a book that's all about me, but that's okay. Because inside, what it shows is that I am incredibly professional. I'm very detail oriented and I am on top of my game. So much so that the pitch that I'm going to give you started a day before I ever even got there. No one else does that except you are going to start doing that now. Now listen, you don't need to spend all this money and make a glossy book with a fancy box. One day you can and you should, but what I want you to think about is your first impression, because it goes a long way, especially your first impression before you ever even get to the door of the client that you're going to meet with. Think about something that represents you. What is that? Maybe you're really into ballpoint pens, and maybe you have a pen and you send a handwritten note with a pen that has your branding on it as your first impression. That would be pretty cool. That would go a long way. Or maybe you're amazing at baking cookies. Maybe you could bake cookies in the shape of houses, and you could send a cookie that's shaped like the house of the client you're going to go meet with a nice little handwritten notes, because I love handwritten notes, and you send that up a day before with a little note that says, here's a little sweet treat for you to have before you meet me, and we have our sweet conversation about your home. And what it really does is it gives me something to talk about the minute I meet that client. Because I can say, did you get my book and box? Did you read through the book? What'd you think? A lot of times they haven't even read it because it's pretty long, but they've thumbed through it and they were impressed by it. And more often than not, they say, I got it, haven't had a second to go through it, but that was pretty cool because I talked to you 10 minutes before and apparently you rushed over and dropped that off, and shows motivation, shows initiative, shows that I actually care, so much so that, like I said, my pitch starts a day before I even show up. And that goes a
See, that's what I love. Again, it's not about being expensive, but it's about different. And I think different is
Yes.
going to get you in front of people. And then your clients are going to be like, wow, I need to work with this person because of something like this. So I'll also share the company with you. Hold on, I think it's here. It's called B Squared. So he's actually doing, he's going to be doing my book, and I'm actually working on a box as well, because I feel like the box can be expanded to something different. So I'm thinking about little, like maybe a wine cooler, or the water bottles, a really nice one like the 12, put in it, which I'll show you. And I'm also working on something called the Realtor's Notebook. So I don't know, when I first started, you know, guys are different with girls. I would be grabbing a piece of paper out of my bag, writing someone's phone number, and then say, oh, I need a book. So then I have a book, and I have my book that I carry around. But then you would forget about questions or things. So it's going to be a book that talks about, like, if it's just a quick conversation where you're pulling over and you're writing things down, and then another page with follow-up questions, so that you really can get detailed and really know your clients, because the questions are really important, and really delving down into doing that is really, really important. So that's something else I'm working on. But this talked about, I want to show you a little bit about the book. This is something that he did for our hometown takeover. And again, they come in all sizes. So I liked a little bit about the Lacoste box of things that are in it that you can really fill. And he does short runs. So again, nothing has to be expensive. Something like this where you can actually have it the die cut, which is really nice. So this is just some different ideas that I think is really good. So this is like something else that I'm working on. And then let me show you my branding. So this is my logo. And this logo actually under the Savino team, I have about 4 different versions of this. It'll say New York and New Jersey, right under team small print. It'll say my name, my team's name. It'll say just New York. I have a couple of different versions. So that was the first one. And then, hold on. Then this is the font to actually get the same the whole thing. We actually had a font, Ventura. These are my taglines on the bottom that go under each one. And I also did the door, which I kind of like too. So I'm playing around which one I like. But when she ended up taking the key on top of this key, that's that symbol. I think it just was amazing. And that's really, so it goes in between using, I like the one with the box. This is my favorite one. So I use this one a lot. And underneath it says New York or New Jersey. And then, so this is Emma's work. So it's Emma, www.emmatang.com. She's great, designing everything. Make sure that you tell her that I sent you. I just want to make sure everybody has it. So that's like
it's really quite sophisticated. And, you know, a lot of times people will
transcript back up. So
people will say that the word, gosh, it's very adulty. So what she did for you in including all of the specifications, the design specs, that is very, very, very professional. The kind of thing that would be done for a large company. And that in and of itself should make you feel really confident, right? Like it's really, really, really professional. So I absolutely love those ideas. And we have just a couple of minutes left.
Any questions? Let me know.
Let's see. Does anybody have any other questions? I know we've got a great group out here. We had more than 70 people at the top of the hour. So Laurie, I want to congratulate you for not only producing something that that caught so much attention, but I really want to thank you and I want to call you out for actually posting something like this on the Institute network. This is exactly what it's designed for. And when I saw the post and how you all were responding to it, I said, okay, this gives us a great opportunity to go another level in connecting our members and in sharing best practices. So I encourage you, all of you, if you've got something that you want to share, don't be shy, right? What was it like, Laurie, for you to get all of those, all the comments and the requests for emails? It was a little head spinning, wasn't it?
Oh, thank you.
All right. All right. Well, I think we are all set. And Laurie, I want to thank you on behalf of the Institute for sharing of your time and talent. And I want to thank the rest of you for taking the time to be with us today. And so we wish you all much success. And then that will call it a wrap for this super special interview. And I hope that you all will share things that you take away from this or things that you are doing.
Bye, Ryan. Be successful. Go out there and sell. Bye.
Bye, everyone.